Hello everyone, Olivia Reiner here with Pete Doherty right outside of Lambeau Field to preview Packers Vikings. We're here, it's the home opener, and the Packers have a big opportunity to set the tone early on in this homestand. They're here for 3 games, and they're coming off of a big win against the Chicago Bears. So there's lots to talk about. We've got a lot of inactives to discuss, but most notably, not on the inactives list today is David Bakhtiari.
That's big. You got to have your tackles in this league, and he's one of the best ones. Having him allows the play caller to not have to worry about chipping and helping on the outside. And the outside rush is a big part of the Vikings defense, so that's big. Now, I got to think the Packers have to be a little worried about this as far as, how this is, back injuries just don't disappear. So, how long is he going to last? They got a Thursday game in a couple weeks, so that'll be a short week of rest for him. So we'll see how he gets through this.
All right, so let's take a look at the rest of the inactives today. Oren Burks obviously still out with a chest injury. Kadar Holman has a neck injury. He's been out the last couple of weeks. He's been wearing a red non-contact jersey in practice. He's been practicing, but obviously not healthy enough to participate in today's game. Kingsley Keke, also a scratch. He's been healthy from what we know of. He did not play in the game last week. Why do you think they're keeping him out? Just the depth that they already have there?
Yeah, and, they have special teams to worry about. He's not going to be a big special teams player. And somebody's got to be inactive, and they're fairly healthy right now.
All right. Cole Madison on the offensive line is also inactive. Lucas Patrick is out. Darius Shepard, we already knew going into the game he was going to be out. He has a hamstring injury. And then something interesting, Dexter Williams is out. So Matt LaFleur only going with 2 running backs and a fullback at the position. Is that concerning at all to you?
It strikes me as light. It's not that uncommon for 2 running backs. It wouldn't be, crazy for 2 running backs to get hurt. Now, Vitale can be a running back. What was the position he played at Northwestern again?
Superback.
He's a superback, so he can do all those things, but he's obviously not the guy at the ball carrier just as on handoffs that Jones and Williams are.
All right, guys, let us take a look at the Facebook comments. Hello, if you're watching us on Facebook, we're always happy to see you. If you're watching us on Periscope or on YouTube, hello to you as well, but I'm going to take questions today from Facebook. We had someone in here, Brian, asking about Jair Alexander, if there's any news. He was limited in practice I believe on Thursday this week. He seems to be fine. I forget. I believe he had a knee injury.
Yeah. So he's up. He's playing. They've got to be ready to go. That makes me think of the other Alexander, Mackenzie Alexander for the Vikings, is their nickel corner. That's basically in today's NFL. That's a starter. That's a guy who's out there 2/3 of the snaps at least. And he's a pretty good player. I think that's a big, especially with Hughes, their second-year cornerback, also out. That's a big injury. I wonder if the Packers will be, looking to exploit the nickel spot and maybe lining up Devontae Adams there quite a bit.
Yeah, be interesting to check out what they're doing on defense. Stacy says it looks like it's great weather. It's pretty nice out here.
It is. It's really nice. A little overcast, but 70 degrees?
It's warmer. It's more humid than I thought it was going to be today. I'm
going
to be honest. I'm a little warm standing right here.
This is good football weather.
Let's see what else. We got Marcos. Hello from Peru. Hello. Chris says hello from Fargo, I believe North Dakota, I'm assuming. Let's see. We got a question. Speaking of the defense, Aaron asks, do you think the Packers defense will play like they did last week? The Packers used 5 guys sort of lining up front and then kept 3 guys back a little bit. So how do you anticipate that they're going to do something similar this week against the Vikings to stop their run?
That's what I'm wondering is, they got a couple ways to go. They could go basically with their 3-4 base front, which is 3 D linemen and 2 outside linebackers. That's essentially like having a 5-man line. And then they play their nickel behind it, so Martinez and 5 defensive backs behind it, or they can go with their nickel front, which is 2 defensive linemen and the outside linebackers, basically 4 guys, and then go with Martinez and the new linebacker's name is I'm blanking on
B.J. Goodson.
B.J. Goodson. Will he play a lot today? Because the Vikings are gonna run the ball. Mike Zimmer's made that clear. They're gonna He wants to pound it and be a defensive team. And if they can run the ball, that makes Cousins better. So I'll be really interested to see which way Mike Pettine goes on this.
So last week, Falcons put a pretty good beating
They crushed them.
On the Falcons. Dalvin Cook had 21 carries for 111 yards.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins only passed the ball 10 times. He was 8 for 10 passing. Do you anticipate seeing a similar sort of Vikings offense today against the Packers?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to. Now, I think the Packers' run defense should be better than Atlanta's. Both of the Smiths are pretty good run-stopping defensive ends. I don't think Atlanta had that. But if his carries are in the low 20s and Cousins only has to throw 10 passes, that's good for the Vikings. I was talking with a scout this week who said basically you want to put the game in Cousins' hands if you're playing against the Vikings.
Mm-hmm. So Preston and Zadarius Smith were obviously very successful in pass rush. They had 2.5 sacks combined, 6, quarterback hits against the Bears. How can they be used effectively to stop the run?
Well, they're both really big guys. They're big for defensive ends. I think Zadarius is 272, something like that, and Preston's 265. They're the length on defensive linemen helps. Eric Baranchek has been through this with me, where the long arms you can extend and push the defensive lineman back and see over them so you can see what's going on in the backfield and where the handoff is going. And they play it hard. It sounds like Zadarius Smith especially is a really good run defender. So they'll be a big part of whether the Packers can stop the run today, which will go a long way to deciding who wins. Who did you pick today, by the way?
I had the Packers winning today.
You did?
Yeah.
I think Tom Silverstein and I had the Vikings winning. And so you and Jim Ozarski and Ryan Wood have the Packers winning.
Yeah, but as we know nothing.
Yeah, we are all just stabbing in the dark like the rest of you.
It's so true. I mean,
it is.
None of us had
I never know who
the
to pick.
Packers winning last week.
Yeah.
And I don't, honestly, maybe if you anonymously polled some of the guys in that locker room, they might not have had the Packers winning. Who knows? But hey, it worked out for them.
Yeah.
We have lots of you guys sounding off in the comments trays from Medford, Oregon. Hello. Burlington, Wisconsin. I don't even know where that is.
That's where Tony Romo's from.
Oh, really?
It is.
Interesting. I did not know that. Sammy from Wyoming. Hello. I've never been to Wyoming. All right, guys. Lots of you in there. So we talked a lot about the Vikings run. Let's talk about the Packers run game last week. Pretty lackluster.
Non-existent.
They had a hard time getting the run game going. They were 22 carries for 47 yards across the board. That's across, I think it was 4 guys or so.
Yeah.
Unimpressive. What needs to change? How are they going to be able to get the run going today against the Vikings?
They have to probably think, their timing on the line will be a little better after having a game. I'm guessing the Bears' run defense is a little stouter than the Vikings, so maybe that'll matter. But what was it? The first 3 series was it minus 12 yards or
minus 17?
Minus 17 yards.
Yeah,
I mean,
not great.
That is just a horrible way to start a game. And they do need to run the ball. The whole offense is predicated on having at least a decent threat of the run game, and all the passing comes off that.
And something that Matt LaFleur spoke about earlier this week that he was unimpressed with, that he thinks will help the run game if the Packers can improve, is getting better on first and second down and being able to convert sort of third and short situations and not putting the team into third and long situations. That was something that the Packers struggled with. They were not in a lot of third and manageable situations.
Yeah.
And if they can do better on first and second down, they can put themselves closer to that line.
I think they kind of are. I don't know that they've ever say this, but I think they're kind of shooting for 3rd and 5 or less. So you don't need really big gains on first down, although it helps. Just getting a couple yards. I remember back when McCarthy started and Jeff Jagodinski was the offensive coordinator. He said basically on first down, if you run the ball, you're just looking to pick up a blade of grass. One blade of grass is better than nothing. Something
that Tom Silverstein pointed out in his column the other day that I found pretty interesting was that in the first 15 plays that the Packers ran off the script, 13 of those ended up being passing plays. I think a couple of them were RPOs, but that's interesting because considering the Packers were trying to get the run game going, I'd imagine that to get the run game going, you probably need to run the ball.
You do. And you wonder how much of it was the quarterback changing the plays, the RPOs. He's just making the read right there at the line of scrimmage. And you wonder what they learned from that. I wonder, they want to pick up the tempo. And I do wonder if the poor start last week is an argument that LaFleur can use with Rodgers of, look, just, even if the run doesn't look great, run it. We've got to have that threat there, stick with the run, and that's what this offense needs to work, and last week would have been a good argument for him to try it LaFleur's way.
All right, guys, I think we're going to wrap up here pretty soon. Any final thoughts heading into the game today? Any big improvements or guys you're keeping your eye on?
Well, I'm just wondering, like everybody else, how long will the offense struggle with the new coaching staff and the switchover? Is it, I'm just kind of guessing, stabbing in the dark. It'll be a month of, starting and stopping and a couple good series, but a lot of bad series too. But maybe they learned a lot from last week. You wonder if the Mackenzie Alexander injury is going to be big. Did the Packers defense dominate last week mostly because Mitch Trubisky isn't any good or had an awful game, or do they really have something going for them, and not just an improvement but a big improvement on defense? Those are, I think, all the things we're all wondering about.
Oh, absolutely. Lots of questions.
Yeah.
And we'll see if they're able to pull one out and start this. I keep calling it a homestand like it's baseball, but it's not baseball. But it is a homestand. They're going to be home for 3 games, which big advantage to Matt LaFleur trying to get the offense going early here.
It's good for an early start, for a quick start, but they pay the price on the back end.
Oh, they will. And it's not like there are 3 easy defenses to play against in the Vikings and the Eagles and the Broncos.
Yeah, Vic Fangio next week. That's one of the biggest. He's one of the best coordinators in the game.
Yeah. All right, guys, I think that's going to do it for us here. Thank you for joining us. Please come back after the game. Ryan Wood and I will be here or not actually even here, we'll be inside this time. We'll be inside to wrap up the game and break things down with you guys. Follow us on all of our social media because we'll be giving you updates throughout the game.